September 1898. A seemingly random act of violence on the shores of Lake Geneva would claim the life of an empress and echo a dark, emerging philosophy. Empress Elisabeth of Austria, often called Sissy, was a figure of profound melancholy and ethereal beauty. Married young into the rigid Habsburg court, she longed for freedom, for poetry, for the open road. Her life was a gilded cage, and she sought escape in incessant travel, avoiding Vienna and its suffocating formalities. But even in her quest for solitude, she could not outrun the tides of a turbulent world, nor the unseen forces plotting against its crowns. It was in Geneva, Switzerland, on a crisp morning in September 1898, that destiny caught up with her. Elisabeth, traveling incognito as the Countess of Hohenems, was hurrying along the promenade beside Lake Geneva. She was late for a steamship bound for Montreux, a common, almost mundane journey. A lone figure, waiting amongst the few passers-by, observed her approach. He carried no bomb, no pistol, only a sharpened tool, yet his intent was far more deadly. That figure was Luigi Lucchini, a 25-year-old Italian anarchist. As Elisabeth passed, he lunged, striking her with a 3.5-inch stiletto, a sharpened file, really. The attack was swift, almost imperceptible. She stumbled but quickly regained her footing, seemingly unharmed, her tight corset preventing immediate collapse. Her companion, Countess Starre, helped her onto the steamship, believing it to be merely a punch from a common street ruffian. It was only once aboard, as the vessel pulled away from the dock, that Elisabeth finally succumbed. She collapsed, her breath shallow. When her corset was loosened, a tiny, almost invisible puncture wound was discovered above her left breast. The stiletto had pierced her heart. The Empress of Austria, Queen of Hungary, beloved Sissy, died shortly after, at the tender age of 60. Her quest for freedom had ended in a brutal, senseless act. But what drove Lucchini to such an act? Born into poverty, abandoned by his mother, Lucchini grew up in orphanages and worked a string of menial jobs. He served briefly in the Italian army, but his life lacked direction, purpose. It was amidst the burgeoning social unrest of late 19th century Europe that he found his calling in anarchism, a radical ideology that sought to dismantle all forms of hierarchy and state power, often through violent means. Lucchini wasn't targeting Elisabeth specifically. He later confessed his original plan was to assassinate Prince Henry of Orleans, but the prince had left Geneva. Desperate to make a statement, to perform an act of what anarchists called propaganda of the deed, Lucchini simply sought any royal. An assassination, he believed, would ignite revolution, inspiring the downtrodden to rise against their oppressors. For him, Elisabeth was merely a symbol, a vulnerable target representing everything he despised. Lucchini was caught almost immediately. Far from remorseful, he was proud, defiant, declaring, "I am an anarchist by conviction. I have come to Geneva to kill a sovereign." He demanded to be tried in Italy, hoping for the death penalty, which would, he felt, further his cause. Switzerland, however, had abolished capital punishment. He was sentenced to life imprisonment, where he later died by suicide in his cell in 1910, a forgotten footnote to his grand, destructive gesture. The assassination of Empress Elisabeth was more than a personal tragedy. It was a stark testament to the era's profound instability. It highlighted the vulnerability of even the most powerful figures and underscored the terrifying reach of extremist ideologies. Lucchini's act, born of a twisted philosophy, reverberated across Europe. a chilling precursor to the political violence that would define the coming century, and a stark reminder that even a desire for freedom can be tragically distorted. Next, we'll delve into the assassination that truly ignited the Great War, the murder of Archduke Franz Ferdinand.